So I was applying for this officer program in the Navy. It's called Stage 21, SBA 21, Seaman to Admiral. So like E1 to O10, because it's split into E and O ranks. And
And we're live.
Yeah. Hi. So I applied to this program, and it was, I'm 26. I've been in the Navy for a year, so I think I'm older and I'm smarter, and to a certain degree I am. But like the Navy is it's its own world.
Right.
Once you're in there, there's just a different way of doing things than at Taco Bell where I was before. You know, so. But yeah, it was the first time I had like. I really believed in myself. I thought I could pull something off because I thought I hit all the wickets, and I really didn't. I was just super green, wet behind the ears, whatever you want to call it. So I pulled the package together. I've got 2 evals coming out of boot camp, and they're both like straight down the middle. Like, you graduated boot camp, congratulations. You showed up at your first command, congratulations. And so I get there, I do the thing, I fill out the package, I get a letter of I have to interview with the commanding officer and do like a one-on-one sit down with him, so he can like make a quick snap judgment and sign off on it.
Right.
And it was a quick 10-15 minute conversation, but it was cool to sit down with someone who's like in charge more than anything else.
Right.
So time goes by. Submit the package, and I have to sit aboard in front of.
What does that mean? You have to sit aboard?
Sit aboard. So what? Sitting aboard? Yeah.
Is it sit aboard or sit aboard?
It's like the verb sit.
2 or 3?
It's 3.
3 words.
Yeah, it's 3 words. Sit aboard, and the board is like a board of 7 junior officers and mid-level officers. Like,
oh, so when you have to sit aboard, you have to go in front of some sort of like board or council. That's
yeah,
what that means.
yeah,
Okay.
and they grill you.
Sorry.
And
forgive me, I'm an idiot.
Yeah. And I can't, it was one of those things where to keep myself from getting nervous about it, I overcompensated.
Mm-hmm.
And I had forgotten just a couple of quirks about military bearing. Like, under normal circumstances, you're supposed to just like sit there. They call it sitting at attention. Your hands are in your lap. You're sitting up straight. Your shoulders are back. You're giving answers. You sit there. You give answers. And I was on the table, looking them in the eye, gesturing, and just talking
like it's a normal job interview.
Yeah, like it would be a normal job interview.
Engaging.
I was engaging them. I was,
And you're not supposed to do that in the Navy.
Not to the degree that I was. I don't even remember what I said. Because they ask you questions about like, what do you think it means to be an officer? That kind of shit. And I've been in the Navy for a year, and I'm like, what it really means is way better pay.
And
like,
you have a 4-year degree.
Yeah, well, and they
You have a 4-year degree and you get paid a lot more.
It's just such a huge status bump as far as.
But
like,
what's
the
correct
public.
answer? What are they looking for in that scenario?
Yeah, what are they looking for in that? They're looking for someone who
Is
believes what they're saying.
Is it like sports talk, like player speak, like
it
it's about
is.
Leadership. It's about
it's about leadership and making decisions,
leading by example.
And I'm pretty sure there's a really great quote. I think it's Arleigh Burke who said that the difference between a good leader and a great leader is about 4 seconds.
Is that like a decisiveness thing they're trying to get at?
It's the ability to make a decision and follow through on it at the drop of a hat.
Right.
Because what you decide is going to change everything for a lot of people.
Right.
And if you have that moment of hesitation and there's 400 people looking at you to make a call, if you're hesitating, you're losing their confidence. And if you don't have their confidence, they're not gonna, for lack of a better term, bend to your will. And then, whenever I was asked the question, "What does leadership mean to you?" and I'd always say, it it's getting people to achieve your goals with you without having to tell them to do it because they believe in your goals as well. And they're like, yeah,
That seems like a pretty decent.
seems like
answer.
a pretty decent answer, you know? Because you know, there's always those charts that are like, you know, it's the graphic of like the Egyptian like dude sitting on a pile of blocks whipping a group of slaves, and it's like a dictator, and then like there's one where there's a dude out in front leading a bunch of people, showing them the way, and it's like leader, and then it's micromanager. There's all these different cart before the horse kind of situations.
Yeah, they did
like
that shit in manager training.
Yeah,
They'd be like,
that
there's
kind
a
of
difference
shit.
between a leader and a
lot of
boss.
fucking PowerPoint.
Yeah, or a
man.
manager and a
Holy
boss.
shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So for people that don't know, let's just real quick. We don't need to go into anything too insane.
Graphic.
But just real quick for people that don't know, tell people who you are, what you do, and we'll obviously get into like how we know each other and how we met and our current relationship and stuff. But just briefly, who are you? What do you do?
Well, right now, I'm Dalton. For the moment, planning on changing that soon.
Seriously,
I've got a month off right now before school starts again. That's where I'm at. That's where I am.
okay.
I finished
Dalton-
my, I
Dalton
finished my
is-
finals yesterday.
Dalton's
But-
being a fuck. So Dalton is
If
one of my
that's
best friends. Dalton's one of my best friends. He's a musician
We go
originally.
way back.
I mean, we're talking 20 years. Dalton's a musician, but he had to leave the music industry because he had a kid and joined the Navy and then joined the NSA. And that is one of the things I
Yes.
wanted to have you on specifically today about. But we just kind of started off the podcast talking about just some random fucking overconfidence, cockiness things. And that's kind of where we just kind of rolled right into it. But basically, yeah, like that hubris, that overconfidence. It's a thin line, you know, because Anwar and I were even talking about on the last podcast about ego, you know, and I didn't interject then, but one thing is a lot of people don't understand is ego just simply means sense of self, right? So if you have too small of an ego and you're insecure,
Right.
it's literally just as dangerous as having that hubris, that overconfidence, and having too big of an ego.
Right.
So you need to have a proper sense of yourself, especially when you're in a leadership position, because something you said really resonated with me specifically. Something resonated with me very specifically. You said the difference between a good leader and a great leader is about 4 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have always heard and lived by a phrase that says, more wars are lost due to indecision than bad decision.
Yeah.
And that's exactly, it's just another way to say, I think, the same idea.
Yeah,
which is
especially
like,
in a battlefield, and you know, I know next to nothing about battlefield tactics, but I was in the Navy long enough and in a military environment long enough to, you know, soak up a lot of militarism, you know. So
just like basic philosophies
Yeah,
and like concepts.
yeah,
like, so
yeah.
even if you're not an expert at this thing, you still understand. Like,
yeah, I couldn't lead a
generally-
ground assault, but I could tell you, I could probably do a better job at telling you where, because I had the access
Sure.
to the technology.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
that's what my job was. And yeah, where were we? Hubris, ego,
yeah, we were just kind of just
riffing.
on that, just the overconfidence, the
Yeah.
indecision thing, because
The
basically is
indecision
where I
thing,
was going with
right.
it, is like, that difference of that 4 seconds is the decisiveness factor, because even if you make the wrong decision, if you have the right amount of confidence, not arrogance, not overconfidence, but
Right.
just you have confidence in that, and then you, like you said, you follow it and see it through,
Yeah,
that is still going to give you a greater chance of winning whatever this metaphorical war is, whether it's
Right.
a personal battle or
Hearts
an
and
actual
minds.
battlefield. It doesn't
Oh, yeah,
matter.
yeah.
Then when you're indecisive, because then time is being wasted and other things are happening, and you're just, again, Anwar and I kind of talked about it on the last podcast about just like starting to do shit. You know, we always procrastinate. We always think there's, well, you know, I'll wait till Monday. I'll start it next week. I'll do this. I'll do that. That's indecisiveness.
Yeah.
And that's literally making a bad decision is less dangerous than not making one. And that's all I was really getting at.
Right. And there's a really good truism for that. And I was thinking about this today when I was taking my shower, because I had showered today. Hoo-yah, COVID. You've always got a million excuses not to do something. You know,
most people
do, but there's another side to that coin, and you could have a million excuses to do something.
Sure.
You know, and it's really hard, especially these days when everyone's on their phone doom scrolling. It's really hard to think to flip that around and really think about what's valuable to do, especially now that so many people have so much time on their hands.
Right.
If you're not using this time now to figure yourself out or like dive into a hobby or find something to carry a flag for, I feel bad. You know, that's you know. But then again, there are a lot of people that are really scared right now too. You know.
Speaking of the doom scrolling thing, that's just a naturally good segue into what one of the main things I wanted to have you on, since we talked about me starting this. One of the things we both wanted to have you on to talk about the information warfare age that we're currently in,
right?
And just how hard it is to sift through the bullshit.
Right.
That is news, whether it's real or fake or spun.
For me, one of the hardest things is when I try to go outside of my bubble. Wherever I end up going, you can always find a tone that is just awful, coming from a headline or from the latest.
Explain that. What do you mean? Like
the tone of like a Tucker Carlson rant or the tone of like a Keith Olbermann screed. You know, there's always this really deeply emotionally entrenched narrative that's supposed to piss you off. And at the end of the day, what's working for news media outlets and for social media in general, just across the board, is that deep emotional involvement. There's very little middle ground there. People are very hot and cold. They don't like, lukewarm water.
Do you think this is something new, or do you think that the media is just getting better at using that as a tool?
The media, when we talk about the media writ large, it just doesn't know what it's doing. You know, it's its own entity. It's its own. We have to think of it as its own organism that we as people have to interact with, because that's what it is. It's alive. It's telling us things. It's getting into our brains. Every time we open Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, we're taking in information, and whatever information we get has an effect on us emotionally or philosophically or spiritually.
Is this the social media model of giving us news and information?
This is just the model of media.
Okay.
You know, like this is everything. Because
so cable news,
network, over the air, you know,
because the whole deal.
Because all these different ways that you can consume media and media in general, they all have their own audiences. A good example is today, Trump tweeted that he had a 51% approval rating through Rasmussen. So that's a really good number for him, especially right now. So how do we get to that number of a 51% approval rating for President Donald J. Trump on August 3rd? 2020.
Okay.
3 months from an election.
I assume you're going to tell me.
Yeah,
because I don't have a fucking
Rasmussen.
answer for you. I hope you're not actually asking me this question.
When Rasmussen does a poll, they only call landlines.
So that immediately gives them an older demographic.
Exactly.
Which
it immediately skews your old and conservative.
Yeah, because we know that as you get older,
it's the boomer.
Well, and we know as you get older, you tend to get more conservative in your beliefs.
Well,
that's
some
just
of us,
like,
yeah.
But no,
yeah.
I mean, like even if you're the most left-wing hippie on the planet at 20, you're going to be slightly less liberal and left-wing by the time you're 50. Like, we just know that. Generally, I'm painting with a broad brush, but we just know that. So
people
not only do you factor in that, but then, like you said,
I'm pretty sure the stats back you up on that too. Like,
right, and that's the thing is, I'm not making that up. Like, I read that. Like, it's just a fact.
Right.
But where it's important is not only are you stuck with the baby boomers that naturally lean conservative, but you're also like specifically that generation.
Yeah.
But the farther and farther we go into the future, the less and less of those people are going to have landlines, making that field more and more narrow,
right?
And more like a laser instead of like a flashlight or a spotlight,
right?
And then so 51%. Okay,
it
I buy it.
And it was Mark Twain said there was 3 kinds of lies, damn lies, and statistics. and it's great because it's a perfect example of it.
Yep.
You know,
what do you call that? An idiom?
An idiomatic phrase, yeah.
Yeah, something, especially something like that, because it's not a cliche or a whatever you call it, but it's because it's literally timeless.
I think. I mean, where does cliche fall into the categorization?
I don't know the specifics, but the reason I brought it up is because I asked you that question, like, do you think this is, it's got to be natural human nature why we're all getting enraged all the time. And I think the media or social media is just getting better at weaponizing that, because you've heard about the mob mentality for
how old
thousands
is social
of
media?
years.
How old is social media?
What would you say, 20 years? I'd say 20 years. From the birth of it to what we know now?
I think...
Because I think MySpace was around in 2000.
Around the year 2000 is when, we'd already had the .com bubble.
Right.
But technology was still there. The iPod was right around the corner, or had just come out.
Yeah.
But we gotta consider this on a really big scale if we are going to be able to understand our role in it. You know what I mean? So... this is so new that we're flailing right now. Everything is fucking crazy. We had this order come up that we were given to us because none of us chose to be born. Like none of us had a choice in this. Anyone. Mm-hmm. There's a segment of the population out there that has the ability to be a mover and a shaker in the political spectrum and on a global level, whether that's business owners or lobbyists or PR firms or whatever.
Right.
But they all matter. And I guess where I'm going with this is I don't know what to think anymore, I guess. Like I guess I'm kind of confessing, like when people ask, like, where do you see things going? Who do you like for what and why? Like I have no idea. I really don't, because it's all changing so quickly.
See, and that kind of makes my head spin, because you were literally trained in this to like in information warfare. So if somebody with your qualifications and your experience through being in 8 years or 9 years or whatever, 10 years of the Navy,
it was just under eight, and
then
or not, was it 9? It was 8.
Regardless,
yeah,
a long fucking time.
Yeah,
I mean,
8
years at something.
More than a
one
one
expert.
and done.
You're an
more
expert.
than a one and done.
You're an expert at 8 years of something. Like I'm just you are like you've been doing it every day, 40 hours,
10,000
fucking
hours
years.
For sure.
Yeah, you're an expert at it. So if somebody like you is saying you don't fucking know, like for a normal person like me, that sends my head spinning, because that's already where I'm at. I have no fucking idea what's fake news and what's real anymore. It seems like they do a really good job of straight up duping me.
Yeah.
And then I don't, because I'm so busy, whether it's remodeling the house, being a newlywed, we've only been married for 2 years. So, like I still have to make sure that Kate and I have ample time, quality time to spend with each other, date nights. We're still doing all that kind of shit. We don't have kids yet, but I'm remodeling the house. I'm doing the podcast.
You got a lot going on.
I'm doing music with you.
Yeah.
I don't have 2-3 hours a day to read a headline, then read the article, and then fact check that article all fucking day to get to the bottom of it.
Right.
Like it's insane. And then if you factor in that every day,
yeah, because like this is what I was reading, waiting for you to get out of the shower. It's like there's part of what makes everything so crazy though is we've all got these on us, right? So in that moment between getting here, getting out of my car.
What is this even saying? This is like super military jargon.
So that's
he handed me his phone, guys. Sorry for the people that are only listening.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read this top thing, and then I want you to explain what the fuck this means. So this says, for immediate release, Department of Justice, Office of Public Affairs, statement of Assistant Attorney General for National Security John C. Demers on the public release of the department's findings with the respect to the 29 FISA applications that were the subject of the March 2020 OIG preliminary report. I have no idea what the fuck that even means. I might as well have somehow just read Greek.
So this is... So I can explain what this says. The Attorney General for National Security, John C. Demers, released a statement. In March, there was an Office of the Inspector General, and the Inspector General is a neutral body within the military. They're the ones that handle like official complaints, unless of course...
Can you airdrop that to me?
Yeah, absolutely. Unless of course... You're a woman who's been sexually assaulted, and then they will just fucking ignore you, which is infuriating. Side note.
Sorry. But if
I'm doing two things at once.
If you
right
can
now,
airdrop this to me, I can get it on my screen.
For sure. So.
Why isn't it coming up?
You have your phone on you?
Yeah. Oh, you know why? It's because you're not on the network, I bet. I bet you that's why.
Nope, there you are. You picked up.
Yeah.
So
I just got it. Now I just got to airdrop it to myself. Go ahead. Keep going.
So the Inspector General is that body within the government that stands apart from... It's not... Like, I forget their history, but they were instituted to be an independent investigative body to look into wrongdoing on behalf of the government. It became about because of COINTELPRO and Nixon spying on people, on American citizens without and like Martin Luther King Jr. That's where it comes from. That's why we have inspectors general. So they did where did it go? They did an investigation and they have findings with respect to 29 FISA applications. So a FISA application is the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. These are special, essentially, warrants to be as simple as possible. They're warrants to electronically surveil persons.
Okay.
So they did an investigation on 29 FISA applications that were subject to the March 2020 OIG preliminary report, and they found that it holds up. There was enough probable cause to surveil, and like they're basically covering their ass.
That's and who were they surveilling? Who are these 29 persons? But what is that reporting in guard? So basically,
it's intelligence reporting.
Okay, but what the fuck are they talking about?
I don't know.
Okay.
Like the people that they're surveilling?
Yeah, like what's the point of the report in the first place? Like, okay, so they were
could
trying to surveil 29 people.
I can't say this one way or the other, but they could be like U.S. persons.
But hold on. I'm trying to just wrap my head around this. So somebody had FISA warrants for 29 people.
No, there were 29 separate FISA warrants.
Okay, and somebody thought that wasn't cool.
And the office, yes.
And then they reviewed it, and they were like, "No, it's legit."
Or it could. The OIG might. I haven't been with the agency in a long time. I don't know if they do. They probably do this on a regular basis to make sure that they're following the Constitution, because there's serious Fourth Amendment implications.
Well, that part I understand. I can't seem to figure out how to pull this up through AirDrop. I did pull up that other.
But it's interesting because, like, I forget why.
I did pull up this one though.
I think I saw it on Twitter because I follow, a bunch of like former NSA dudes on Twitter.
Right.
Oh yeah, it was this guy. There was a former Bradley Moss. I forget who Bradley Moss is, what he did. He was a general or something. Anyway.
So for people that are confused, why are we talking about this? What is the significance of this in relevant, applicable time for like what we're all dealing with right now?
Because
why is this significant, especially
because
to you?
The Department of Homeland Security is probably using their own separate bureaucratic rigmarole to bypass certain First Amendment protections and Fourth Amendment protections. Just today, like the director of Homeland Security got relieved. I think it was I'm getting these details off a little bit, but someone at DHS was reassigned because they were spying on like New York Times journalists in Portland, like doing unauthorized surveillance. Like it's just like a yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can pull this up here because we're talking about some pretty confusing shit here. So I wanna make sure people have some context.
Because the guy that's
which one of these is the better one for us to pull up here?
Probably
the top aide or the acting chiefs. Yeah, it's got to be one of these two, right?
Man, there's been and this is part of the problem too, is because this is what we run into in the digital age. Because there's been 4 secretaries of Homeland Security. Like this guy was appointed by a guy who wasn't congressionally confirmed. Like there's just all these little political tricks that keep happening. No, not Kirsten Nielsen. Go back up. Search DHS reassigned. Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Which one of these should we click on?
CNN's probably fine.
Yeah, I don't think I'll get pulled for CNN.
Fair use.
So DHS official to be reassigned after intelligence collection on journalists. The Department of Homeland Security official who oversaw the intelligence division at the department is being reassigned after it was revealed his office had gathered intelligence reports on 2 U.S. journalists. Okay, so let's see.
Brian
Murphy and...
So, stop right there. On Thursday, Washington Post reported that DHS had sent open source intelligence reports. So, open source intelligence reports means that they're getting information from like the open internet, like CNN, Twitter, Fox News, cable news. That's what open source means.
Okay. So, this is significant because they're straight up investigating journalists, not because they think they're a threat to national security or they're being suspected of being a spy, or maybe that's what they're saying.
You got to understand that in order for them to be surveilled, someone has to think that they're a threat to national security or national security interest.
So I think I see where we're going with this. There seems to be a direct parallel between what's happening exactly right now and the McCarthy era.
Worse. This is worse. This is weird. This is weirder. This is like, because there was in the McCarthy era, television was new, and we're dealing with a totally different beast. Like the McCarthy hearings were televised, and it was the first, and it was a big deal. It was the 50s. Television was, oh God, I think maybe like 6 years old. So you had to be a middle class white person, which there were a lot of in 1955 or so, or 54, whenever that was. And now we're dealing with something totally different,
Well, it seems to me that there's this wave that humans go through when a new technology is introduced. Like if you think about this, right?
Yeah, there's growing pains.
Like we went from nothing to the printing press, right? And then from the printing press, what would have been like radio, right?
Well, don't leave out the Industrial Revolution.
Well, I'm talking about the way information was exchanged, right?
True,
on a technology level. So,
but
all of a sudden it was radio, and we had this ability to communicate much faster, right?
Right.
And then what happened shortly after the radio was like really solidified? World War I.
Right. But the industrialization can't be taken out of it, because it allowed for this huge population boom, right? Like, you've seen the graph of human population. They set it to the GameCube opening, like,
yep.
You know, it's.
I mean, there was only 1 billion people on the planet in 1900.
Yeah.
Kevin and I had a hard time looking this up last night. Do you remember how long have humans been on the planet? Is it 200 million years?
I just barely passed an Earth science course.
Is it 2 million years, or is it 200,000 years?
It's like 250,000 years recognizable humans have been around. Before that, like, and there's like a
sure.
It's a big gradient area, you know.
But just thinking of this in concept, so it took 249,880 years for us to get to 1 billion people. And then it took 120 years for us to get to 8 billion people.
And now, all 8 billion of those people have the capability of just talking to each other through a piece of glass.
And that's what I was getting at.
You know what I mean?
And that's what I was getting at I feel like when radio was first invented, information spread quicker than people were able to digest it. It took about 20 years for us to get used to it. And then TV came out, and the same thing happened. And then we rolled that for a while, and now the internet's here. And that's taken about 20, 30 years.
Right. And they've all developed as their own independent forms, too.
Right. But all I'm going with it is I think you kind of touched on something, is it's so new for people to be able to communicate this fast.
About so many things.
And when we were talking before the podcast, you mentioned something about, like, this is almost a representation of our version of current democracy. And I think that really has more resonance than the way you actually originally meant it, because the way I see it is everyone now has the ability to express their opinion. Everyone now has an equal voice on the internet, on Twitter. Like, nobody, like, when I'm not talking about followers and algorithms. Right. I'm just talking about your post. Your post is just
it's just as much data.
140 exactly.
Yeah, it's just as much data.
Characters or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's the same number of ones and zeros.
Exactly.
Per tweet. Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So suddenly, just like the vote for president, your post is equal and your voice is suddenly equal. So I think maybe the people haven't changed, and we're not even getting used to being able to communicate this way. Is what we're doing is we're just now realizing how many other people out there have extreme thoughts, and those people are easier to see.
Right.
Because they don't hide themselves in secret meetings in a cornfield under hooded robes.
Right.
They just talk about shit right on fucking Twitter or 4chan.
Right.
Right? Like, I think these are all, like, valid things we're saying, but this idea of this modern version of this technology really does give credence to, like, this is technological democracy, or technocracy, if you so to speak.
Yeah.
Because it really is whoever is evolving the best social media platform that allows you to get your voice farther than other people's. Those guys are now controlling information, whether it's a YouTube or a Facebook or a Twitter. Right. They're the ones moderating the current political rhetoric out there.
Right. When I see people talking about cancel culture, I mean, there's both sides are guilty of it. Like, everyone talks about the left canceling people and forget that Tomi Lahren got canceled for daring to utter the thought that if she got raped, she wouldn't want to have that baby. You know, like, she got fired.
Elizabeth Hasselbeck got dropped from The View for basically the same thing. She said, "I'm pro-choice because I'm so Republican. I'm so small government."
Right, I remember that. Yeah,
and they were like, "You're not Republican enough, bitch."
Yeah, we got to get a new Republican voice on The View. Like, you're not. Like,
you're not right wing enough.
Yeah, you know. So I mean, these lines about freedom of speech aren't being drawn on the internet by the government, and it's freaking people out on both sides. Like, wait, what do you mean I can't suggest that the Holocaust never happened because there are still Jews? You know, like.
It's such a fucked up thing to say, but we should let those people say those fucked up things. As a Jew, I want to know that those people are there.
Right.
I want to know what they're saying so I can understand it, so I can at least explain to my kids, this is bullshit and here's why.
Right.
Be ready to hear X, Y, and Z. And if you do need to argue or defend yourself, here's how you do it. When we alienate, cancel those people, we push them into the shadows on the fringes of society where we don't know what they're saying, and they communicate in whispers only amongst themselves.
Right.
That's where I get fucking paranoid.
Right. So
I'd rather have a Nick Cannon and an Alex Jones still be on the air, so I know the
Nick
dumbass
Cannon is
shit.
On the air still.
I thought everybody canceled him except for Fox.
Yeah, well, right. So he's still on Fox. He's still on the air. He's not.
But everyone else dropped him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, ironically, Fox, the alleged racist news, is the only one that didn't drop the black guy for saying racist shit against white people. Wrap your head around that one, dude.
Well, he was talking shit about Jews, so.
And white people.
Well, and Jews.
He straight up said white people are the lesser.
Right.
I watched
the
entire thing in context. It was pretty disgusting.
Well, yeah, there was a group of black Israelites in Baltimore when I lived there, when I was stationed there. And
are those the ones that are connected to the 5%ers, or are you talking the other?
I don't
black
think so.
Because like it gets real muddy. There's like those two like merge at some point, but divert at another.
It was like about a dozen big burly black dudes with big black beards standing in a street corner in like in a plaza. In was it Fells Point? Yeah.
Oh, you said that's Baltimore.
Yeah, Fells Point.
Were they doing drills and shit, like military drills?
No, they're standing there with signs with like pictures of aborted fetuses on them.
Oh, they're demonstrating.
Yeah, they're out there demonstrating. They got a bullhorn and they're being loud and they're calling white people the devil and shit. And
I mean, that's cool.
Yeah.
They have the right to do that.
You go about your day.
Especially if they pulled their permits and shit, you know what I mean? And they went and filed and everything.
Like,
they have every right to fucking be out there fucking saying some crazy ass shit.
But Baltimore was kind of like that. There was a lot of street performers. Like, I lived close to the Inner Harbor, and there's always someone out there riding like a fucking 10-foot unicycle or juggling flaming bowling pins or whatever.
Right.
It's a town that's like that. You know, there's a pirate festivals and shit. Like I dated a girl who worked on a pirate boat.
No shit.
Oh yeah.
Did she speak with a pirate accent? Gar.
I refuse to comment.
Gar. I can neither confirm nor deny
the existence of a pirate accent.
So what do we? Let me ask you this, because we could go down rabbit holes and just speak philosophically on this. So as a general, because again, I understand. And I told you this before the podcast. I don't want to have you on and put you under the pressure of being an authority on this subject.
Oh, I will. Yeah.
And I don't think anybody's going to take you as an authority now, especially when you're like, I don't know what's going on.
Right.
But you are a reasonable voice to listen to, because you still have more training and expertise in this. What should be what are? Let me. I'm going to narrow this question down. Make it easier for you to answer. Let's simplify this whole thing. I see a news article.
Okay.
What are the red flags I should be looking for to raise suspicion?
Exclamation points. First of all.
Like literally in the article, if you start seeing
like
sentences ended with an exclamation point.
If there's a headline that's got an exclamation point, that's a red flag. If it's got a question mark, that's a red flag. Part of what makes my perspective a little different is when I was working in the Navy.
Well, first, why are exclamation points and question marks? Why is
that? Well, I'll
explain.
This follows through. Part of what I was doing was writing intelligence reports. And those reports and their style have to be written in such a way so as not to imply any foreknowledge of any upcoming event, any any fluff. It was very direct reporting.
So some like straight up Joe Friday dragnet, just the facts, ma'am.
Yeah. So and
That
so
kind of shit.
informed so and so of such and such kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
You know. So anytime I'm used to reading that and understanding it and putting it into the context that it should be, because it's just the raw basic information.
It's just the data.
It's just like get as close to
almost like a medical examiner.
Yeah, you have to really, if you see a headline that is intriguing and or whatever, what are the raw facts? And if they start getting muddy when you start digging, like if you see this website posts a headline, it's got a couple exclamation points in it about something that happened in Milwaukee. You read the article and it's got all this inflammatory language, lots of adjectives, lots of adverbs, lots of speculation. Rumors are, you pay close attention to that language because those words matter. If there's a link to a primary source, go to that. Because as you drill down, if you get like something from like insidernewsminnesota.com that's got Ilhan Omar is performing satanic rituals, it'll be like some website that's got some super right-wing Christian screed against like Muslims invading America and this little thing about Ilhan Omar in the bottom of it. And that'll link to a Fox News article about something about Ilhan Omar, and that'll also have a link. I mean, you can, like, it's literal wormholes, and we used to play a game, actually, called Wikipedia Racing. You pick two subjects, two things that you can just pull up on Wikipedia, and you have to get from one to the other by only using the links within that page.
Okay.
So, like, you start on Natalie Portman, you have to end at cucumbers.
Sure.
Do with
and then
that.
The other team starts at cucumbers, and they have to get to.
No. Like everyone just starts at the same time and sees how quickly they can click through to find the common thread. So,
what's the purpose for this game or activity?
Playing with information. Like just the basic building block of.
Is this
what's
something
the
you
information.
fuckers do? Or is this like something that you guys actually like? Is this a training exercise in the form of a game?
No, this was just a game we'd play. Like we'd be sitting in a.
So this is what the
like
fucking the NSA fucking nerds are sitting back there doing.
Yeah,
because
like
they're bored or whatever.
Yeah, we've got like 15 minutes to kill before the next speaker comes in to present, and we're sitting in front of computers that have got Wikipedia on them. Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting.
The things you find, boredom is the mother of invention. Truly.
Right, absolutely. But idle hands are also the devil's plaything, so there's always a flip side to that as well.
That's true.
Because trust me, I've played with my little devil plenty. These hands have played with my little devil.
I too have played with your little devil.
That is not true. We do not need that rumor getting started on the
internet.
It's
true. It's true.
It's not true.
I'd known you for about a year. We were 19. We were at Area 52, and you had a scrotum.
Oh, that's right.
Hanging out of your pants.
That's
for like
right.
45 minutes.
Yeah, so let's just Me Too me now.
Turn it off. We're done, bud.
Let's just get it out of the way now. So this is true. This is how
like
reckless we were back then.
2005. We were 18, 19 years old.
So this is why I'm not going to be Me Too'd, because I just admit to all this shit, and I'm totally willing to put it out there, because I was an insanely horrible fucking...
But
people also didn't seem offended. They thought it was hilarious. In fact, there was a couple dudes that seemed offended, and all the girls thought it was hilarious. But basically, is what I did.
The scrotum is a special piece of the genitalia. So basically, it's not a penis. It doesn't perform any sexual action other than producing.
Right. So basically, is what I did was I left my buttoned on my pants, but unzipped my zipper. And then pulled just my nutsack out. Yeah. And then didn't show anyone, tell anyone.
Just walked around, just left it there.
Exactly, and walked around this party for, God, had to be 45 minutes to an hour before the first person noticed it. And then it was like people thinking frequencies, because I'd walk across the room and then another person would notice, and then another person. And then
you hit that critical mass.
the reactions were almost 100% universal. People thought it was hilarious.
Yeah,
and
they laughed
unexpected.
like, you dumbass. Like, because I mean, it's just so easy. Once you see a
Then you
scrotum,
then you tap it.
You can tap it, and it causes that person pain. It doesn't take much at all.
Just a little flick.
Just a little flick. Scrotum, just an ugly little bag of
Do you
skin.
remember? You and I were drunk. We were both underage. We were like 19.
Oh yeah.
And we were dicking around. I don't remember what we were doing, and I think you did something, and I was chasing you because I was gonna like wrestle you or like beat you up or something. But it was like innocent, like brother farm boy fun.
Right.
And you ran literally up a pole.
That's right.
And I ran under you, and I was like, I looked straight up, and I was like, you got to come down there eventually. You got to come down from there eventually. And as I'm looking up, he just decides to slide down and perfectly place his asshole in my mouth. I mean, you were wearing jeans.
Yeah, but you still got.
But I got a mouth full of butthole, dude. God damn it. Oh fuck. Yeah, Area 52. We talked about that with Boyd too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so another thing for people that don't know or haven't put two and two together, this is Dalton, the Dalton that we've talked about on a couple of the podcasts. He was in Johnny Rook with Zach at one point in time. He's jamming with me on my project now. He's a phenomenal lead guitar player. Gave me lessons back in the day.
Still give you lessons.
Yeah, I guess technically that's true. Just not.
I
the
learned
same
from
way,
you. I learned from you too, man. I learned from you too. But
don't fucking. But no, but the point is
I'm
it's not the same. It's not the same way because you gave me formal lessons. Like you would break shit down and it really expanded the way I wrote music.
Right.
So I got to give you credit for that. You do still teach me a lot of shit, and I still take lessons from you. But we're not sitting down like I'm not paying you because I literally paid you like I think it was. Either,
I think you get like I was hard up for cash. I'd just gotten married. I had a baby on. I was like, yeah, come over, give me $50.
Yeah,
something like that.
And I think because I was broke too, so I think like I'd pay you $25 a half hour or a half-eighth of weed. I think that's what it was.
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just depended on like, did I get paid that week? Because if I got paid that week, I'd buy a little extra weed and just bring you some weed.
Right.
Otherwise, if I didn't, I would just pull $25 out and I'd stop by because you happen to be working. I'm working 2 hours from home.
Right.
It was this ridiculous
that's
drive,
right.
and you just happen to be living
right
5 minutes from my work. So I was like, fuck, I'll stop by Dalton's, I'll get a guitar lesson, I'll skip rush hour, and I'll be home, and instead of 2 hours, I'll be home in 45 minutes.
Right.
So I actually ended up home almost the exact same time anyways.
You're only like a half hour later, but you spent that time better.
It's fucking fantastic. But no, so Dalton's my guy. I love Dalton. He's like one of my best friends.
All the way back.
And yeah, I've learned a lot from Dalton as a guitar player, from you as a guitar player, and it's just really helped me specifically in this project take this like beautiful idea I had, and as you're laying down your tracks, it's just hearing this thing come to life, and like it's rejuvenating.
Yeah,
to hear that extra layer of color and spice over something I wrote.
So I gotta confess something. You texted me the other day, and I know I'm really
You're
bad.
voting for Joe Jorgensen.
Not a chance.
We'll get into her later because I'm curious and confused as to why people love her and hate her. So we'll get to that later. Anyways,
where were we?
We were talking about music. You jamming with my stuff and me being excited that you're on it because it's rejuvenating.
Rejuvenating. So rejuvenating. Let's talk about rejuvenating. How have you been rejuvenating lately?
No, what were you gonna say? You fuck.
I don't care.
I do.
Oh shit. I'm just trying to keep it going. I had something. I don't know. I've been playing with all this COVID time. I've had a little time to like just play along to YouTube tracks and just noodle. And I'm still finding new things, Just like, oh, I can get to that note that way now. My speed's gotten pretty decent.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm a legato guy, and I just, I've got a lot of work to do. Because there's some, the players that are playing these days, the Tosin Abasis, the Nick Hensons, that like, I'm 35. I just don't have the fucking time already put in between the years of 15 and 22 or whatever it is.
Sure.
Because like, let's be honest. When you're young, you've got a fucking shitload of time. You don't have any responsibilities. You don't got to be working. You got school that's
there's less things to stress you out or even distract you,
and you're really, really into it because you're finishing up like a plastic stage of your life where everyone I know between the ages of 10 and 20 is trying to figure themselves out. And what was fun about going back to school and being in in-person classes is hanging out with all these 19 and 20-year-old kids who are really like optimistic. They're really optimistic. They believe that they can go out into the world and make it a better place.
Man, I remember feeling that way.
Yeah,
and sometimes it's true for
sometimes
certain
it's
people
true.
in certain situations, like, And
but
then I think is what you
who really wants to be a mechanical pencil spring manufacturer? Because that's what the world needs.
Right.
Like there's just so much banal shit that just has to get fucking done.
There's a huge group of people that just want a job where they can just show up, do their job, and leave at 5 and never have to think about it until they come back the next day.
Right.
I mean, there's a large group of people who want that job.
Yeah.
But are those people in the city where that factory is? Probably not.
Probably not. It's hard to know what people want.
And that factory may need 80 of those people, and there's only 30 of them in the entire state, let alone that town.
Right.
So it's like, I get what you're saying, though. Like,
right.
I explained that to Anwar, too. I'm like, this version of me that he admires and respects with the music and with the podcast. And, like, people have always said, I've got this drive. And, like, that's one of the biggest compliments I get is my drive and my passion and just this refusal, almost arrogance, just to, like, nope, we're doing it. We're doing it. I don't want to hear it. We're fucking doing it.
Right.
We're accomplishing the mission. Like, I don't want to hear any of this other fucking loser ass bullshit because coming from a football world, we call them defeatist arguments. Like, dude, thinking you're going to fail does you nothing to accomplish the task.
It's part of every persuasive argument class you'll ever take. Never say anything that undermines yourself whatsoever.
Don't introduce a negative.
Yeah, never give any doubt.
And that's not something that's manufactured in me. It's just a genuine borderline overconfidence. Not that it's going to be great, but that we're going to do it. Like, no, dude, this is what we're doing. And I just refuse to give in on that.
Yeah.
But I tried to explain to him, like, dude, I can't be this dude as a bill collector. Right. Like, I get burnt out sitting in that chair. Like, dude, literally a chimpanzee could do this job. Right. I may only have like 4 IQ points above that chimp. but bro.
But at least the chimp was good looking.
right. I got the bigger dick than the chimp, but the chimp's a little better looking.
he could
rip said dick off. But
just ask Bro Jogan about chimps. He'll tell you everything you need to know.
That's a chimp with mange. Oh my God!
Have you seen those bonobos, bro?
Look at the unit on that one.
Fucking bonobo
That's
porn,
a fucking
bud.
unit, bro.
Weird.
Have you seen the mashups?
Dude, they're so good.
Oh my God,
it's so good. But that's one thing I love. Like, I know I sound like all kind of doom and gloom, but the internet is fucking awesome because we get amazing shit.
Right.
We get, like, whoever thought to put Hail to the Chief, like that presidential march, into a minor key and slow it down and put it over the footage of Trump getting off the Marine One with his hat in his hand and his
suddenly sounds like Star Wars when Darth Vader shows up.
Just all weepy and mopey, like, oh, Charlie Brown.
To me, it doesn't sound weepy
Someone
and mopey. It sounds like the theme song when Darth Vader shows up in fucking Star Wars.
It does. It has similar characters. Marches,
That's
right?
what it felt like, dude. It was
it
just felt like evil. It didn't feel sad and like pitiful. Like, I think, and I don't think that was his intent. I think he wanted it to sound
But that's the thing. Like, you can put
sad,
like that, you can take a clip like that and throw any kind of soundtrack over it and flip it.
Speaking of, I sent you and Kevin that video of Nikki. Joe finds his true love in Nikki Glazer.
Oh, God.
Did you watch that?
I didn't
clip?
watch that,
dude.
But is it just him like thirsting on her hard?
No, it's really. quite amazing, dude. But the music that the guy puts behind it, and the timing, and in his editing of the facial expressions,
right?
And then he clips in Bert Kreischer in the background, like, wait, what? I wish I could play it for you. If he had the video on his Instagram, I could probably pull it up and do it right now, you guys. But right now, that video is only on this guy's YouTube channel. So if you guys are watching, I'm telling you, it's worth it. Look up Ping Trip on YouTube. Feel free to pause my video and go watch that, and then immediately come back to this one. It's Ping Trip. It's PINGTR1P. And then the two of them I'm specifically talking about are Joe finds his true love in Nikki Glazer, and then Joe Rogan falls in love with Ben Shapiro. And I am telling you, man, I fell off the fucking toilet. Dude, I was laughing. Because that shit
was funny?
I was laughing so fucking hard. I legitimately fell off the toilet when Joe looks at Ben and he's like, let's fuck. And it cuts to Ben and he's like, you're out of your mind. I fucking died. You're out of your mind.
Oh my
dude,
God.
I'm telling you, that's top internet right now. And then there's
I don't know, man. There's a lot of good there's a lot of good comedians on Twitter too, because one of the funniest things, what made me fall off the toilet was when I saw the tweet that was, Ben Shapiro is what a Hogwarts student says before they take a seat.
That's so fucked up.
Because it's Bench Apiro. And a bench appears.
It's so fucking stupid. That's so fucked up. It's so fucking stupid, dude.
It's good because it makes fun of Ben Shapiro without actually making fun of Ben Shapiro. You know,
it is true. It's literally just using his name.
Yeah,
so,
you know, it's a shot.
Up.
It's a shot without taking a real shot.
There's another dude out there that's not doing mashups, because when I say that's top internet, like that's just a category I put things into, like guys that are really doing something that is like the best of really anyone putting shit out right now.
Right.
Like even regular internet, like YouTube channels, they're going down like this almost corporatization path, because the movie reviewers, the gamers, like they all use the same
big
format,
YouTubers,
the graphics, like it's all the same now, right?
There's a format.
Yeah. Well, there's certain guys that are like really like, fuck it, I'm gonna do my own thing. Another one is Andrew Schultz.
Yeah,
he's doing those like,
he's got some pretty
John
good rants.
Oliver
style.
Dude, he's top internet right now. Dude.
That's the kind of shit I really like. That's the kind of shit that actually like I'll watch people I don't agree with, because at least they're entertaining. Like I used to listen to Glenn Beck all the time on the radio.
Really?
Because he was just so preposterous and ridiculous, and I was like, I could just laugh at him. You know, he'd make like some ridiculous thing, and I'd be like, you fucking ridiculous asshole.
Limbaugh.
Yeah, Rush Limbaugh's the same way. Like I'm just like, what? That's your line of thinking, and it just makes me think like, man, we are a weird fucking species, because you know the way we've spread out and diversified our thought over the last not just 100 years or 20 years, but over the last 500-600, really since the printing press,
right?
Because that's when fake news started. Like almost immediately, like there was just salacious shit.
We were talking about that before the podcast.
Yeah,
like, fake news has existed.
Yeah, in some way, shape, or form.
As long as regular news has existed.
Yeah, like
and propaganda.
Thomas Jefferson wrote a letter to, I forget what it was, like the New York Times, because they've been around that long or something preposterous like that. They had published a story about him screwing one of his slaves and having illegitimate children, and he was
which was true.
Yeah, which was true, but he wrote like a big long like, how dare you slander my good name, sir, because 1770 fuck you, you know. But yeah, it's been going on for as long as we've had media.
Right.
And it's only now in the last 20 years or so that people my age, at least, have had to deal with some really weird things happening in the world that has never happened before, because history keeps happening. You know, like you get history in class, and unless you've got a good teacher, you're not going to understand that history is still happening. So when 9/11 happens, and when the 2008 financial crisis happens, when, just all the scandals, all the things, all the big moments, Donald Trump getting elected, COVID, George Floyd. I lived in Baltimore when Freddie Gray got murdered by the police, and
it's sad that there's so many of them. I have a hard time keeping them straight. Which one is Freddie Gray now?
Freddie Gray was.
I apologize if that seems offensive to anyone. I'm not being a dick. I'm sorry. There's just too many people being murdered by cops for me to keep them straight.
Right. And what was tragic about Freddie Gray was he was a troubled dude. Like, he had serious drug problems. And the way the cops killed him was they just handcuffed him with his hands. Like, they gave him a hog tie handcuff, threw him in the back of a paddy wagon, and then just drove around like fucking crazy. Just like gave him a rough ride and fucking snapped his neck and killed him.
That's fucked up.
For like a simple possession charge. So, of course the fucking city burned.
Wow.
Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
And that was in Baltimore?
In Baltimore.
While you were in Baltimore?
Yeah, like I was out to dinner with...
So there's something about you move to a city, and then an innocent man gets killed by the cops, and then the city burns. Dalton, maybe the devil himself.
Only half of the last 4 cities I've lived in have done that.
Dude, if you were a baseball player, you'd be a fucking all-star, dude. Batting 500,
dude,
bro.
I need to move to
However, if you're a football team,
Vegas
you
and be a
missed the
cooler.
playoffs.
I need to move to Vegas and just cool down tables. Like, I am bad luck.
No,
like,
you're
that
not,
guy,
dude,
that
stop.
table's hot. He needs to stop making money. Dalton, just go stand there.
Maybe you're good luck, and
Maybe
you're showing up and changing the world.
Maybe I.
One city at a time.
I'm the Messiah.
Oh my god.
I got voices. No, it was crazy because in Baltimore, I had gone, like, it had happened on like I can't remember what day of the week, so I'm just gonna make it up and say on a Tuesday.
Sure.
Freddie Gray gets killed. Tuesday night, the news comes. It's on like the 10 o'clock news Tuesday night, and then Wednesday, people are fucking pissed. So I lived right in downtown, literally across the street from the courthouse, and we had gone up Charles Street to get some ramen, and when we came out, there was a crowd of about at least 2,000 people marching down the street, crossing Charles, heading towards the precinct. And
which is crazy because a year or two ago that would have been hard to imagine. Now
it's
easy,
like, yeah. It was easy to imagine then too, because it was like, wait, this is what
unless
happened?
you hadn't seen it before is what I'm
right
saying. But
right.
Now we've all seen that.
But it was the first time I'd seen something that visceral happen, because these are visceral reactions to these things. People like when this kind of thing happens. It draws a striking parallel for a lot of people to a man walking in on his daughter being raped. The anger is justified.
Right.
Like you stop that from happening immediately, and if someone dies in the process, a lot of people are going to be like, okay,
sure.
And I'm
whether it's right or wrong. People understand
people
it because they can put themselves
like,
in that spot.
We're talking about deep rooted emotions. But it was crazy. I walk out and there's like one of those metal garbage cans from the sidewalk had been pulled off the drilled in mounts, and was flying through the air, and it landed square in the back of a police cruiser. And I was like, should we go home?
Yeah. Right.
And like, yeah, probably. I was like, yeah, okay, let's just walk home. And they, it was fine. We walked home. We were safe. That big crowd of people marched down. There was some turmoil. There was quite a bit of turmoil, and it was a big to-do. But there was also like 3 weeks worth of marches that didn't get publicized whatsoever, and I was there for them.
Right.
One came right around my building, right, literally across my front door. I was walking home from the bar after getting a drink after work. And it was me and my roommate, and like a group of people comes around the corner with a truck and a loudspeaker system. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And we walk up and look down, and it's like 1.5 miles packed of people. Like, want to do this? Yeah, Absolutely. So we went upstairs, got dressed to the nines. We wore suits because I was like, "You want to like look nice for this?" And he was like, "Yeah, that's a good idea, actually."
Mm-hmm.
Like, of course, solidarity. You need these kinds of movements need allyship. So a couple of square white dudes in business suits saying justice for
Freddie Gray.
for Freddie Gray isn't a bad thing. We can do this. And I mean, we're active duty, so we absolutely cannot wear a military uniform for it. But we thought never even crossed our minds. We knew you just know better,
right.
you know. But yeah, so it's been weird, just because.
What similarities did you see, and what differences did you see between how Baltimore handled Freddie Gray and how Minneapolis handled George Floyd?
You ever get told not to do something, get smacked for it, do it again, and get smacked harder?
Definitely.
That's what this is. You know, this has been an issue for
what
a
do you
long.
mean by that?
But cops cannot be judge, jury, and executioner.
I agree with that.
You know, they're like
I think you know how.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I
no,
think you know how hardly I agree with you on that.
We've talked about that at length. But I also understand the need for like a public safety presence. You know,
I went through that. I had the whole fucking. I had you down for a fake podcast while we were testing the equipment. Right. I went on a long.
I watched a video today of a female police officer, I believe in Arizona, respond to a call of a guy. Like,
is that the one that got shot in the face? She's beautiful.
No.
Okay.
So this police officer shows up to this call of a dude in a parking lot of like a strip mall with a pair of scissors, just threatening people and like lunging at him and swiping at him, and he's got a pair of scissors.
Right.
They're sharp. It's a knife. You can fucking kill someone with a pair of scissors.
Absolutely.
You can absolutely kill someone with a pair of scissors. So this cop shows up, and immediately this guy is in her face, but like, what I say in her face, he doesn't see her as a threat. And he immediately is like, "Fuck you, blah, 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 blah. Shut up. And he starts walking at her. And this cop backs up, just keeps backing up, telling him, "Drop the knife, drop the scissors, drop it. I don't want to shoot you. Drop it. Finally, he like makes a lunge at her, and she fires one shot, and he drops. I couldn't believe the restraint. It was amazing.
Instead of unloading the clip.
Yeah, one shot. Just stop. That's all it takes is pop. One good shot. Granted, the situation was such that he was close.
Was it fatal?
No. It didn't appear fatal. It looked like a gut shot. Like center of mass kind of shot.
Could be fatal.
Could absolutely be fatal. You rupture something.
Especially if it's, I mean, if it's a hollow point, the way the bullet fragments.
Yeah, there's so many factors that go.
It's definitely the most painful place you can shoot somewhere. One of the most painful places you can shoot somebody is in the gut.
Yeah. Oh, I believe.
I mean,
that'll fucking hurt.
That's pretty well known.
But that's a situation where that's warranted. Someone like Freddie Gray gets picked up for having some heroin on him because he's a fucking addict, because for a myriad of reasons, he doesn't deserve to die in the back of a police van.
Right.
George Floyd didn't deserve to die with a knee on his neck. Eric Garner didn't deserve to die in a chokehold for selling loose cigarettes.
Dude, did you see that they released the body cam footage today for George Floyd? Did you see that?
I didn't see it. I haven't. I tried to, but like it was getting DDoSed. There was just like it wouldn't pull up.
I don't,
because everyone was watching it.
I'm not pulling that shit up on the podcast. If you guys want to go look it up, man, you can. But dude, that shit. I'm just gonna tell you guys right now. I'm just gonna tell you right now, like, that shit's hard to watch. The original George Floyd video was hard to watch, man. This one's way worse. This one is so much worse. Like, it makes everyone. It makes George Floyd look worse. It makes the cops look worse. It's fucking, dude. I'm telling you right now, I feel bad for everyone even more, if that's even possible, right? Like, you'd think you don't. Except Derek Chauvin's not in any of the body cam footage that was released. It was the initial arresting officer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the initial arresting officer, and it's like, dude, that dude was like definitely not fucking with him.
Yeah.
Like it did not start fucked up. You know what I mean? Like it didn't go fucked from the first get-go. Like
right, something happened in the process.
Dude, George was like not cooperating. I'm not going to say George was resisting.
Okay.
George did not do anything that showed, and I'm thinking as if I'm a cop, because I've been in George's spot. I really have. Like, I've been fucked with by the cops. I've had my ass kicked by the cops. I've been arrested falsely. I've had fucking, I've literally went to jail for crimes I didn't commit. Like, it's been bad.
Yeah.
Like, I've been there, okay? However, I will say, from being in his situation and then being able to imagine being the cop, George was not cooperating. I wouldn't say he's resisting. There was no physical actions that were him resisting.
Right.
But he was not cooperating.
Yeah. From what I heard, he sounded scared.
He definitely sounded scared, but
they killed him. What wouldn't? But you know,
that's not where I'm going with it. Where I'm going with it is like he definitely made that situation worse. And I think is where it went south is when Derek Chauvin showed up.
Right.
And I will not be surprised if that's exactly how the trial ends up going. Like, the more and more information we get, the less and less it seems like all 4 cops are equally responsible.
Right.
It really is starting to seem like it's Derek Chauvin and that Tu Tao.
Yeah.
I think that's how you say his name.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't a fucking cadet, basically. He wasn't.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, the other two were the newbies,
years,
the 2 rookies,
and he was literally ignoring it. He even turned around and like those are the 2 that need to be held responsible.
Yeah,
the other 2 cops, the first 2 cops that were there,
just got off probation. They'd been cops for like a year.
Dude, I feel bad for them. I really do feel bad for them because they. I don't know if they could have handled it any better. Now that I've seen the body cam footage, like if I'm that cop. The only thing I could have possibly done is like maybe lowered my voice and said the same thing in a slightly different tone. But again, when George is a big dude.
He is a big dude.
You can see it in the body cam.
No,
he's way bigger than the cops, right? And you can see both of them really struggling just to get him to stand still so they can search his pockets. I'm not defending these cops, by the way, you guys. That's not what I'm doing. That's not what I'm doing at all.
You're explaining the sequence of events.
It got hard to watch. Like really. So loosen it.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Loosen it.
Because it's backwards.
And then spin it back tight. And then loosen it and spin it back tight. Nope, you're going the other way. Yep. Jesus, here.
Jeepers. Jeepers, Kroll.
Here, so go this way. Loosen it. Tighten it.
Here, while you're doing this.
What did you do?
Testicle difficulties.
This is so funny. Man. This is actually like why podcasts are the shit. Here, we'll just do that. So what's going on here? Is it just not tight? What the fuck is going on? What'd you do to it?
I don't know. I don't know what I did.
This should be
all right. I'll try and stay on this instead of this. Whatever.
I think it's okay now.
Yeah.
So
anyway.
all I'm saying is like the George Floyd thing. It just made everything look worse because I'm telling you, dude. If you watch it like emotionally, it makes you feel the same way you did the first time you watched the first George Floyd video. However, if you happen to be somebody who's like one of those Blue Lives Matter people,
yeah, they're gonna. There's a lot of shit to cling to there.
They're gonna fucking start going. Well, look at this.
Right.
Look at this. I'm just saying.
This is what's gonna happen.
This body cam footage is gasoline on the fire.
Right. It's gonna be gasoline on the fire.
I think there's gonna be more riots again
because
like,
it's
as early as this weekend,
maybe,
or even tomorrow night, or tonight,
maybe even the night. You know, you never know. Anything can happen these days. But if it is what it sounds like you say it is, which I believe you.
I'm trying to do it as unbiasedly as I can because I know we're on the internet and I'm not trying to spin it.
My assessment at this point, sight unseen, is that my bottom line, and I think a bottom line for a lot of people, is that this interaction didn't have to go down this way.
I would agree with that still.
And
I just put that responsibility back on Derek
down this
instead
way.
of all four. That's the only distinction I'm making.
We can look at.
Did you catch that?
Huh?
I agree with you. I'm just saying I'm moving back towards putting that distinction just on Derek and that other cop instead of equally on all four. That's all I'm saying.
The story is going to evolve.
But I still agree it didn't have to go down that way. But I don't know that those first two cops could have done anything different or better.
Right.
It was when Derek showed up and took control of the situation.
Right.
That's because this footage is almost 9 minutes long.
Right.
And then Derek showed up and knelt on him for 8 minutes and 46 seconds.
Right.
So it's bad, dude. It's really fucking bad. It's not cool. Here's the thing is...
Well, I was going to say...
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. What was I going to say? End of the day.
Well, we were bringing up that it didn't have to go down that way at the end of the day.
Whenever this happens, and it's public, and it causes this kind of a frenzy, and there's footage of it, we're able to sift through every second of footage, every second of audio, and sift out as many details as we can. And I think what gets lost on the right quite a bit is the fact that the left sees this as a forest and the right sees this as a bunch of trees. You know what I mean?
On this specific subject.
On this issue. And this is just
I would agree with that.
My assessment on this day.
Unfortunately, I would have to say it really is that kind of simple. The right looks at it as trees. The left is looking at it as a forest.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Unfortunately.
Even if it's a lot of trees happening all around them, they think there's just a lot of trees. Man, that's a lot of trees. This is a forest.
It's hard for me to admit that the fucking either side is ever right, because usually the truth is in the middle somewhere. Right. But no, there are certain times one of the parties has it right. And right now, the Democratic Party and the liberal left have it right.
They only have it from a very global top-down perspective. This is bad, it needs to stop. The problem is we don't know what the solutions are, and we won't know for a long time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and then...
because people are risk averse.
Now we got to add in the very
people have kids,
Well, and not only that, but we have to add in the very real, debatable thing that is being talked about. If we were politicians arguing about this and passing these laws, at what level does this problem need to be solved?
Right.
Does this become a federal issue, or do we allow this to be a state-by-state issue, or do we allow this to be a city-by-city issue? The reason this is a deal, the reason this is part of the argument, because some people would be like, why the fuck does that matter? Just fucking fix the problem.
Right.
Here's why. Because there is hundreds of years of constitutional law.
Right.
And we literally went to a civil war over this.
Right.
Over, does federal law supersede state law, or does state law supersede federal law?
And in what cases and why?
Exactly. We are still arguing about this shit till this day on certain issues. This is one of those debates. If we're having a police brutality issue, right, should we allow an individual community or state to handle that issue, because maybe their culture is a little bit different, right? So the way you're going to solve police brutality in Texas is going to be different, vastly different than the way you solve police brutality in New York City,
maybe,
or Minnesota or LA. This is the argument, right? I'm not saying this is true. This is an argument. Now, somebody might say no. The problem is that there's not enough consistency coming down from, say, the federal level.
Right.
And so to validate what you said, on certain issues, we have decided federal law rules supreme, because in order to leave it up to the states, we allow the potential for constitutional rights to be exploited. Therefore, it becomes a federal law.
Right.
When it's not an issue of your civil rights being violated and it comes down to a nuance on how something is enforced,
Right.
they leave it to the states.
Right.
So this is what we got to figure out, because here's the deal. Not every police department is bad, right? Not
Correct.
every precinct within a police department is bad. Think about this. In
Right.
Northeast Minneapolis, nobody's dying at the hands of the police. In Uptown, nobody's dying at the hands of the police. Those are 2 precincts within the MPD, right?
Right.
We only have 3. It's still a huge ratio, 3 too many, but it's only 3 out of the 5. It's not all 5.
Right.
So should Anoka County have to do an overhaul? Should Duluth police have to do an overhaul? You see what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
And I'm not saying
you know,
we make it a states' rights issue. I'm saying that it is not a simple pull the trigger, fix the problem, because there's
Right.
politicians at every level.
You're right. On every municipality.
From congressmen,
Right.
senators, governors.
You're talking chains
sheriffs.
of command
Yes,
from you know, your rookie cop all the way up to the president of the United States when we're having this conversation.
Yes.
And it's holy shit, that's a big ship to move. And not everyone in the
Yes.
ship has to move either.
Right.
A lot of people do, especially in problem areas. You know, because
Correct.
we see these problem areas, and it's why we have
Correct.
journalists, because they can look into these kinds of things and uproot them.
Right.
And with everything, with social media, with just the state of geopolitics, like, how do we know what's what anymore? How do we know what's up and down? It's so hard.
Let's put this in context. Let's put this in like a scenario we're all going through right now.
Okay.
I'm gonna say something hot button. Fucking hear me out, guys. Jesus Christ.
Here it comes.
We're hearing defund the police.
Right.
Now, I know some very intelligent, educated people that they're saying defund the police does not mean we abolish the police and get rid of the police. However, there's a lot of people that think and perceive that message to be exactly that, as both scared citizens,
right?
And we talked about this before the podcast, so he kind of knows where I'm going with this. But for the listeners, not only do you have this segment that hears defund the police and they go, oh my fucking God, they're going to leave us helpless.
Right.
But you also have another group in all of these large cities, including Minneapolis, New York City, where the criminals here defund the police, and they've been emboldened, and we've seen a legitimate skyrocket, an exponential increase in crime.
So
there's the hold on.
Yeah.
Is what I'm getting at is what I really want you to comment on is there's, and this again is human nature. There's your intent and the reality behind what you say, and then there's how it's perceived.
Right.
Now, where this becomes more important than ever in the exact example we're going through is not only is there a perception versus reality issue in what defunding the police means,
Right.
but that is also being weaponized on both sides
Absolutely.
for political.
Absolutely.
So let's just take that issue that's being thrown out there, and that word is being used to disorient and to intoxicate people to get to a state of emotional rage.
Right.
So that we're not thinking logically about these issues. Again, just using this as an example, how does someone in a normal situation, not like what do you search for, what do you look for in an article, how is someone even supposed to take a step back and go, what the fuck is going on? Because again, now it doesn't even matter what the reality is.
Right.
We're talking about the fear and panic on one side and the emboldened criminals on the other. So we have reality.
Right. So
we have intent, here's perception, and then the reality and
here's
result.
the thought. Here's the thought.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's a weird, long-winded question.
No. But
hopefully that makes sense for the listeners as well.
But here's where it takes me. When someone says defund the police, and someone says no, and they don't have a better idea, they've lost the argument. Jocko Willink.
But couldn't you?
No. Hear me out. Jocko Willink has the answer, and he's right. And it's training.
Okay, but let's not go down to Jocko Willink. But let me just ask you this.
But I'm just saying
there's a flip
this
side to that coin.
because
if you say defund the
police,
police, if you say defund the police, and you don't immediately have an idea to replace them with, haven't you already lost the argument?
No,
So
because
if
you already have something on the table, and that's defunding them because they can't do their job correctly.
Right, but what are you replacing them with? So unless you have
Doesn't matter.
something,
we've got something on the table.
that
It's the bargaining tactic.
No offense, but that's not a winning argument.
Well,
and that scares
we'll
the
see.
shit out of a lot of people, and that emboldens a lot of criminals because that's exactly what they did here.
It's absolutely going to be exploited as a wedge issue from here on out. Absolutely.
But how is a normal person supposed to hear something like, again, we have the intent in the actual reality behind what defunding the police is, which if you guys don't know what it means, they're not talking about abolishing the police. They're not. They're talking about replacing it with something else. It's just a simple way to say it.
Right.
Then you have the perception,
but it's effective in that way. In that it's a short enough message that it's easy to repeat. And
right.
memorize,
So you've got that, and that's the intent and the reality. Okay. So you guys can look into that. What I mean by that. Then you have the perception and how it's perceived, and then you have the reality, which is the result and the actual effect that message has.
Right.
How is a normal person not expected to react this way? Either be scared shitless, or if you're fucking an outlaw, so to speak.
Right.
Why are we seeing an uptick in criminal activity and a fucking panic
because
if it's all duckies and bunnies? If the intent is all duckies and bunnies, why are we seeing this cascade of chaos behind it?
Because every time this happens, there's always an uptick. Every single time.
Every time what happens?
Every time there's a riot like this. If you look at Freddie Gray, if you look at Eric Garner, if you look at George Floyd, if any of them, Philando Castile,
okay, sure, yep.
Every single one of them, in the months after that event and the initial outburst from the public, there's a higher report in crime every single time. This has been quantified. I saw
this seems like common sense,
right?
I'm not going to challenge you on that.
So it's not like the point is to not do that again, because it's better for everyone if the cops aren't killing people for no reason, and then people aren't going fucking bananas afterwards because we live in a fascist authoritarian state, or at least we feel like it. When that kind of shit happens, like, yeah.
I mean, I get what you're saying, and I think we are starting to live in a fascist state, and it's funny because I was just talking to Kevin about this. I said I voted for Obama the first time, didn't vote for him the second time, and by the time he left office, I fucking hated him. And here's why.
Right.
Because he set legal precedents that violated the Constitution in a way that made me not afraid of what Obama was going to immediately do with that power. I'm not saying he was the Antichrist and he was the worst president.
Right. No, I had my reservations too.
I literally
the next person could be really bad.
That's what I said. I said it's the next guy.
Yeah, it's the precedent that it sets
next.
Is dangerous.
Well, guess who's next? Trump. Now here's my point.
Yeah.
As we're seeing Trump usher in some version of tyranny and fucking fascism by literally deploying Homeland Security agents on American citizens, okay?
Yeah.
This is how this snowball starts, okay?
Right.
Now here's the fear. It's not Trump. It's not what they're currently doing. It's the next guy.
Right.
Or girl.
Right.
It's who's and again, not 2020. I'm not talking about, because I'm convinced Trump's going to win, and even if he doesn't, I don't give a fuck. It's 2024.
Right.
Because there seems to be, it's so funny. I used to be super
it's so
all in on all the conspiracies, and then I backed way off on most of them. And now as I'm living this, it's starting to see like there's a calculated plan and agenda since about 2008 when Obama took office. I'm not saying he's in charge. I'm not saying he's even a puppet. But it seems clear to me that it's becoming less and less preposterous to think all of this shit just keeps being a perfect storm. Like let's bring two examples where so far the official story still remains perfect storm of accidents. Pearl Harbor, 9/11. Not going to get into those conspiracies. I'm saying the official report on those two incidents say it was a massive cataclysmic failure on many levels of small mistakes. Now,
So
hold on.
I can
Here's where I'm
speak.
going with this.
Let me speak to Pearl Harbor, because Pearl Harbor was attacked on December 7th, 1941. Yeah, I know my naval history. I was a sailor. But about 13 years prior, they ran a war game in Hawaii.
Yep. You've told me this, but go ahead and tell the listeners. Yep.
And this, I wish I could remember this admiral's name. But you can look this up. This admiral in this war game runs this scenario.
And let me pause you real quick. As he's telling this story, you can literally take this and replace every time he says World War II or Pearl Harbor, you can actually replace that with 9/11 and the World Trade Center, and this story is actually still true as well.
Pretty similar, yeah.
Almost word for
Yeah,
word,
there's
actually.
striking parallels.
Scary. Okay, sorry, I digress.
But where this turns is at the very end. So what happens is they run this war game, and this admiral hypothesizes that the Japanese could have an aircraft carrier or two, and they could fly in on an early morning bombing raid and destroy half of our fleet our entire fleet as it sits in the harbor, and effectively cut off our cock and balls in the Pacific forever and ever. Amen. We now speak Japanese. The Department of the Navy rejected it out of hand because
arrogance.
No. Because the Japanese, with their slanty eyes, couldn't see well enough to perform accurate bombing raids.
That's not only arrogance, but also a little bit racist.
A little bit, you say.
But it's extremely arrogant because that's Sun Tzu's art of war, underestimating your enemy.
Absolutely. But
that's hubris.
Absolute hubris. Just like, we're white. We got this.
But they did run it as a war game eventually.
Well, like, it was like you'd have to Google it to get the full details on like what actually deployed and like who was fake shooting who, and like it was
sure okay.
They run these kind of scenarios in like war colleges and shit, and like the Naval Postgraduate School and shit like that, where they really drill deep on all of that shit. Like there's
sure yeah, right.
Naval warfare is, from what I understand, similar to ground warfare, and that you have to outmaneuver each other. That's really the name of the game a lot of the time, amongst a myriad of other factors.
It's still literally just flanking.
Yeah,
it comes down to
bulwarks
and flank. Bulwarks are roadblocks, which are just like, don't let the enemy go here. Flank to the side, get him into a choke point. It's just with different tools, basically. You're using fucking monster trucks instead of
and
go-karts.
The political will of whatever country you represent.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, we're talking about Pearl Harbor. You were talking about the war game.
Yeah.
13 years earlier.
Yeah.
Keep going.
That was it.
No, it wasn't, because you missed your punchline. Because I know how you end this story.
How do I end this story?
No, I forgot. I think you told the story out of order. I actually basically
when I was in the Navy, I was in this division or department of like you work your way up from division.
Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was. You told the story.
I told the story
of Pearl
Harbor, and then because we had it's a big group meeting thing. There's like 80 people in a room, and our department chief is like, all right, we're gonna do a heritage thing, so who wants to volunteer for the first heritage event and talk for 10 minutes about some historical event in naval history? And that's what I chose. So I told the story of Pearl Harbor, and then I'm like, and it happened in 1933.
Right, and people are like,
what?
Yeah. And this is true. And that's why I said there's dramatically scary and striking similarities between that and 9/11, because there's two things. I believe it's called Operation Northwoods, where we were going to send a commercial jet airliner, and this is in the 70s. Okay, or 60s.
60s or 70s.
This is the 60s because Kennedy was president.
Yeah, but J. Edgar Hoover
Well, we were going to send, because I need people to understand the context of this technology, because Kennedy was president when this happened. So this is the early 60s.
Right. There was a lot of experimenting going on in the 60s.
But just wrap your head around the listener. I know you know this story, but the listeners, wrap your head around the technology difference. Yeah, you can either go all the way upstairs or you can use that sink right there. So basically, wrap your head around what I'm saying on the technology scale. In the early 1960s, while JFK is still president, and I believe this is Operation Northwoods, that may not be the right title, the United States Joint Chiefs of Staff, which are, I believe, the most accurate way I can describe the Joint Chiefs of Staff is like the literally highest ranking general of each branch of the military, including some people from the president's administration himself. In what I mean by that is like the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense. I believe that's literally what the Joint Chiefs of Staff is. That group at that time created a plan to send a commercial airliner, but have it controlled with drone technology, so no actual pilot. And then they were going to shoot it down, and then they were going to say that the Cubans are the ones that shot it down, and we were going to use that as an excuse to invade Cuba.
Oh, CIA, you going CIA.
But this is the Joint Chiefs of Staff that actually wrote this memo and battle plan and whatever it's called in its long form. Now, here's the point. You combine that with another war game and a drill that our American Air Force regularly played, which was somebody has hijacked a commercial jet airliner and has flown it into the World Trade Center.
A preposterous hypothesis.
So my only point to this is when George Bush goes on national TV and says, well, it was a failure of imagination. It's fucking insulting, bro. What are you talking about? A failure of, you literally imagined it and were regularly practicing it. Like literally, it wasn't just like what Dalton said with
part of the issue
with Pearl Harbor, where they dismissed it. Like, no way. They were like, yeah, this is legit. This could really happen, and they regularly practice it. And in fact, that day they were practicing a war game training mission, and everyone that was supposed to be defending, much like Pearl Harbor. So again, parallels to Pearl Harbor. They were on a training mission and sent way away from the actual place they would normally be defending at the coincidental exact time that they were attacked. I'm not saying these are bona fide conspiracies and blah, 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 blah.
You got to understand that those kinds of training exercises are happening all the time. All the fucking time.
Fair.
So
fair. That's, yeah.
You know,
I mean,
like,
yeah. So you got to take that kind of coincidence with a grain of salt.
Like if you're... if you're a traveling if you're a musician on tour 9 months out of the year, you're not at your house 9 months out of the year.
And wouldn't it make sense that if you're a foreign government and trying to figure out, or a terrorist organization figuring out when you're going to attack, maybe figuring out and timing it during one of those exercises?
Right.
I mean, that's not out of the realm of possibility either.
You don't do it mano a mano. You do something like 9/11.
Pearl Harbor. And they fucked up in Pearl Harbor, just so anybody who doesn't know the story, because they didn't destroy our aircraft carriers. They took out all of our ships except our aircraft carriers. And that is why they were never
like the
really
ships that
able
were
to
out,
put us down.
Yeah, the fact that several ships were out on a training mission and that they were carriers saved our ass there.
Yeah,
you know?
It really kind of did.
And at Midway, it was kind of Japan's death knell, because when we knew they were coming because we had cracked their code. Like every year in my corner of the Navy.
Have you seen that new Midway movie?
I've heard so much fucking bullshit about Midway in my life.
No, but have you seen that movie?
No,
because I want to know
which
if
one?
The newest. The newest version. It's called Midway.
Right.
So I got relatives that talk about that.
Yeah.
And I got buddies, and I got a lot of friends that are ex-military.
Oh, you're so fucking popular.
My point is people have said that's like the Saving Private Ryan of Midway. Like that's the closest thing
Gotcha.
that's ever been put on film. I don't know if they're telling the truth. I don't know if it just confirms their bias.
We won that battle through disinformation.
Okay, so we were talking about this before the podcast.
Yeah, we won that battle.
We'll get back to the Midway
disinformation.
thing real quick, because this is all making sense to me now as we've been talking about things in context.
Yeah.
Explain to the listeners what's the because you nailed it, by the way. I googled it when I asked you.
No,
to
I
define
looked
it.
afterwards and I was like, "Fuck yeah, I got that."
Okay,
right.
and I was pretty close when
Yeah.
I gave you mine. I just added a little couple too much adjectives and made it a little too specific.
Yeah.
That's what I.
So
that's what I did. What's
it's
the difference between misinformation and disinformation?
So on as simple as you can boil it down, misinformation is accidental and disinformation is nefarious.
So literally, I'll put this into an example. During the riots, right, we did have some semblance of normalcy and peace during the day. The riots lasted for about 10 days here, and they all really started at sunset. During the day, or in the middle of all of this, a thing was put out on a local underground social media thing. It's actually probably nationwide.
Nextdoor?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
probably nationwide.
Yeah, it's pretty popular.
So it got put out on Nextdoor in our neighborhood that there was a group of people robbing the local liquor store.
right. There was I saw a lot of that shit too.
So this example is misinformation because it was somebody driving by, and believe it or not, they really were loading shit out.
Oh, but it was their
what,
business.
It was their business, and is what they were doing is they were loading out expired beer that they didn't sell, and the distributor was taking it back, and then they just simply didn't see the distributor also bringing new beer in. So they put it out. They put it out, and that's accidentally saying something and posting it that's untrue. Whereas disinformation
and
would
the
be
line can be
intentional.
the line can be super fine because someone can be misinformed. The truth can come out about it. They can make a retweet, but that first tweet is going to get clinged to, and it's going to get spread before that second tweet comes out.
Right.
Confirming it.
So
everything,
a great example of that.
You have misinformation.
A great example of this to keep people, because I'm with you, but some of the listeners might be lost because we're bordering between like philosophical and literal discussions here. So here's a great example: false rape allegations.
Okay.
False, like he raped me. Okay, that first tweet comes out.
Mm-hmm.
That guy's life is ruined.
Johnny Depp is a great example of this. Have you been following his story?
Okay.
Amber Heard is
so now we'll put it in a real context. So there you go. So she sent malinformation, which is disinformation, with malicious intent.
Right.
So see, now it's all coming back full circle.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to malinformation, but that's where that goes. Is you have misinformation, which is like the example I brought up about the grocery or the liquor store, right? Then you have disinformation, which is like what I was about to say might actually be true, so I don't want to say I got to make something up. I'm
burping. You're welcome.
Ilhan Omar is a Satan worshiper.
Right.
Okay. No, she's a Muslim. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to interpret that as Satan, that's your prerogative. But like the headline,
but Allah literally translates to God.
The headline in this disinformation article would be Ilhan Omar went to a seance, a demonic, satanic seance.
Right.
That's disinformation. Malicious or malinformation is basically disinformation with malicious intent.
Okay.
Saying I want people to.
Is this a codified term?
Yeah, I looked it up.
Yeah.
Yep. I found it when
I like it.
I found it while I was I asked you to define it, and then I Googled it.
Yeah.
And then right under it was like malinformation.
Like it's synonyms and
Yep. And it's a new term, but it's being used in,
and it should be. It's a good word because it
makes perfect sense too, because that's what we're really getting at right now is like misinformation and disinformation that's so old school. That's out of style. Now is what we're really experiencing is when we say fake news, like what fake news used to be was misinformation and disinformation. Now it's malinformation.
Well,
they are doing it maliciously to weaponize it and politicize it. You mentioned Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
I can't remember who it was, but one of our presidents that won
Yeah.
One, because he literally spread a rumor and told the press and campaigned on that his opponent was fucking his sister. It was incest. That's malinformation.
Right. Well,
the
and
difference is now the majority is malinformation, whereas in the past the majority was mis or disinformation.
Well,
does that make sense?
Well, it's different for everybody, you know.
But does that at least make sense?
Yeah,
though?
I'm
that
tracking.
Concept.
I'm tracking the concept for sure.
At least that way I know I'm not fucking on my own planet.
Yeah. What's something that I've been struggling with lately is trying to discern between like societal and individual issues. What are our societal issues and what are our individual issues? And what I discovered is that Margaret Thatcher once said that there is no such thing as a society.
What the fuck does that mean?
It means that there are only individuals acting in their own interest, and that apparently this is kind of the crux of the conservative mindset.
This almost sounds like an economic argument.
Well, and it kind of is, because it folds into like Ayn Rand's objectivist.
For people that don't know, Ayn Rand is Texas senator?
No. She wrote The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged.
Oh, I'm thinking. You know who I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of Rand
Paul, Tennessee. Do you know? But that she's his namesake. That like he's named after her. That's like the whole libertarian thing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's the whole thing, dude.
So his name is Rand Paul because of Ayn Rand.
Yes, absolutely, 1,005%. Ayn Rand was like
this is fucking stupid.
One of the like archetypal individualism conservative figures.
That's like naming your son his first name. You call what's your last name? Not your last name. Your last name's let's say Nelson.
Right.
And you name your son Tebow because you're a huge Florida fan. What's your name, son?
God.
Tebow Nelson.
Tebow Nelson.
My name's Tebow Nelson.
Listen, Florida is the biggest dick in the country because it's the only one we have. It's the greatest country in the United States.
Listen, man. My name's Tebow Nelson. I throw a football harder than you could throw your mother. Do you even understand what that means? That means I will fuck your cousin and score touchdowns simultaneously. Skin that cat in that kettle. Who's this? This is Tebow Nelson.
You've thought about this?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't. This is not a plotted out thing.
Oh
this is why I try to explain to people, like, with my comic buddies and shit. I'm like, I can't write jokes. When I'm funny, it's 100% improv, and it's usually me riffing.
Just get it going.
It's usually me riffing and bouncing off of people. When I sit down and try to write and be funny, I'm the least funny guy on the planet,
right.
And I don't think I'm unique in that realm. I think the unique people are the ones who can write.
And that's kind of what I loved so much about Mitch Hedberg is every single one of his jokes is a shower thought, you know? And they could just as easily be read by Ron Swanson.
Sure.
You know?
Absolutely. Or Jerry Seinfeld, really, if you really want to.
I apologize for the stairs. Can you believe it?
What's your favorite Mitch Hedberg joke?
Oh, man. Oh, God, that's a tough one. Now, and I'm blanking right now, too, so that doesn't help. But
one of mine is...
I think it's the receipt for a donut.
I was passing by. I was passing by by a wino on the street, and he was eating a grape, and I was like, "Man, you should wait."
Dude, I saw something today that was raisin bread is technically both the body and the blood of Christ, because the raisins are grapes, and the grapes make wine. Like, you know what?
I'm going to hell.
That's the whitest thing I've read.
I'm going to hell. I'm going to hell not because of things I've said on this podcast, but the things you've said on this podcast.
Oh, really? Well, I'm sorry.
Oh, my God. No, it's okay. I called you a fat racist piece of shit.
Yeah, I know.
Well, and I already told everybody it's a Bert Kreischer joke. And that honestly only happened because we didn't do what we said we were going to do, which we were just going to make up a bunch of horrible shit about you.
Right.
Zach and I, for the listeners that are confused right now, my first guest on the podcast, they used to be in a band together. We mentioned that earlier. And we were going to just make up this crazy, horrible shit about you. And both of us completely forgot. It's literally that simple. And so, like, I just basically just defaulted to a couple Bert Kreischer jokes. But it is what it is.
It is.
So let me ask you this, man. Let's wrap this up. We've been going for just about almost 2 hours.
Oh, really?
So let's, yeah.
All right.
I know, it flies. It flies. It feels like we've been sitting here for a half hour. But let's wrap this up with let's bring it back full circle. So like right now, there's so much chaos going right now. There's misinformation, disinformation, malinformation. Everything's being politicized and weaponized. How are people supposed to cope with the chaos of information? How, like, for example, to put it back into context,
I've already got an answer.
How did you not lose your fucking mind doing that job? Okay.
Yeah.
Being somebody who did that and you still like, I don't know which way's up with all this crazy shit.
Right.
How does the normal human being literally not go crazy, unemployed, sitting at home, fucking doesn't have a job? All they got, like, at least I got the fucking podcast. You know, some people are sitting at home with nothing they're able to do. They live in an apartment. They don't have a garage where they can go start woodworking like Zach did.
You know what
I mean?
You know what my real answer to that is? Find someone you can hug. I'm serious.
I'm not.
Like, have like actual physical connection with someone.
How do you do that in a COVID world?
Everyone's got their own bubble that, you know, like I've got my girlfriend, you've got your wife. We've pretty much got each other, you know. We do a pretty good job of socially isolating and wearing masks and taking care of ourselves. And, you know, I think a hug is worth dying for in a post-COVID world.
I mean, if you're
in the right circumstances, if you're having a hard time,
that's what I was.
You know,
say, yeah.
like seek a physical connection.
I think
hug someone, talk to someone. You know, we got to be there for each other. The mental health is everything right now. We're gonna see in the next couple of years. I think we're gonna see some insane suicide rates, and having been suicidal at a young age, there's a lot of heartbreaking things in the world going on right now. We don't need more.
I agree.
You know,
I agree, and I think there's a lot of validity to what you're saying because there's studies. And maybe you can Google this real quick for me while I'm telling people.
Pontificating?
Well, not pontificating. I'm going to mention something. Flip it. There you go. Nope.
Too far.
Yep. There you go. No, I'm not pontificating. I'm going to reference something, and you can pull it up. Google study shows babies die when not touched or something.
Oh
like that.
Yeah. No, I'm familiar
basically,
with this. Yeah.
Right, and some of the lists. Yeah, but you could have pulled it up down there too. If you signal it down here, it'll pull that up on this monitor instead of those. So basically is what I'm referring to here. Dalton saying go out and hug someone. That sounds cheesy.
It is cheesy.
If you're an ultra masculine dude, that might even sound a little gay. And who cares? The point is this. Hopefully he can find this article. There is scientific proof that when babies are not regularly given physical touch, they actually die. So we're talking about like orphans and infants and shit where nurses
skin to skin time.
There's a certain nurse, whether it's on a shift or it's her actual just full-time job or they rotate, whatever, their job is to literally just go in and pick up the babies and give them skin to skin contact and embrace them. There is something literal about human contact that does something in our brain.
It's baked into our DNA from
literally. Did you find it?
Yeah.
Did you find it?
Yeah, okay, yeah. There's all sorts of shit here.
All right, so I'm sharing it with everybody. So here, How important is human contact in infant development? Touch not only impacts short-term development during infancy and early childhood, but also has long-term effects, suggesting the power of positive, gentle touch from birth. Through this contact, newborns are enabled to learn about their world, bond with their caregiver, and communicate their needs and wants.
Right.
Do you see? Click this one where it says, "Can a baby die without physical contact?" Lack of physical affection can actually kill babies. Right here.
Yeah.
But touch is even more
From
vital than this.
psychologytoday.com.
So it's what we're saying here is not like pseudoscience, hippy dippy.
I mean,
fucking.
it definitely sounds like an old wives' tale.
It's
like,
100% real though.
But
people are being isolated, not just with social media before COVID, but that's been amplified during COVID.
Right.
So people are more and more struggling to feel whole as we're being stuck in our metaphorical cubicles now, which is our houses.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
It's fucked. And there's nothing illegal, at least in Minnesota, about like going to your fucking neighbor's house and hanging out anymore.
Right.
It's gatherings over 10, I think, still.
Yeah.
You should check your own state laws if you're not from Soda here, but it's not, as far as I know, most states don't have that strict stay at home that we did initially.
Right. And I think, this whole I'm no epidemiologist, first of all. It's going to be years before you really understand this thing. So when it comes to hydroxychloroquine or chloroquine, like I'm really skeptical of it because because all of the information I'm getting is so diverse.
Right.
I'm not making a call one way or the other.
Right.
It
shows
but it's another flaw that's being exposed.
Well, and that's one of those things
what we were talking about before.
But the hydrochloroquine, the hydroxychloroquine, fuck it,
HDQ.
Everyone knows what we're talking about. Here's the thing: is it's an immune suppressing disease or medication?
Yeah,
which is vital because
is
what COVID does to you is causes pneumonia, and that's what's killing people. What is pneumonia? Pneumonia is an overreaction from your immune system, which causes something. I'm really dumbing this down, you guys. I do understand this, but no one's interested in the fucking minutia of this. But basically, the overreaction of your immune system causes something called consolidation, which starts depositing. Like the easiest way I could say this is like the carcass of different shit and mucus in your lungs,
fluids and mucus start accumulating.
And so your lungs have a harder time like decompressing to take a full breath of air and then expanding back open because it's filled with fluid and
so
here's
some really bad information.
Hold on. The theory is that if it can suppress your immune system from overreacting to COVID, it could potentially have benefits.
Right.
However, it's not a fucking cure.
Right.
It can't be a cure because that's not what cures are. It would literally be nothing better than a potential treatment. We should not be fucking fast tracking this and just recklessly giving it to COVID patients. It's not responsible. Unless we get enough data that shows if let's say we start breaking down your COVID into grades A, B, C, and D.
So what's
if you're at
up,
D or C, we can give it to you and you'll be fine. But if you're at the A or B level, it can actually just kill you.
Right.
Because it'll wipe out the last remaining part of your immune system.
We know so little
that can fight it. Does that make sense? Though?
Yeah. But part of the problem is we know so little.
I hope that made sense for everyone else.
We know so little about this virus right now. It's only been 7-8 months now.
That's true. Yep. We know a lot about hydroxychloroquine or whatever the fuck it's called.
But we don't know.
I can never say that word. I know what it's called, but I can never say it.
My trepidation comes from the fact that first,
hydroxychloroquine is what it's
there
called.
There it is.
Hydroxychloroquine. No, I didn't look that up either. I just fucking finally took a drink of some beer.
Part of the problem for me, at least, is I think of medical science as taking a long time. Right. So I'm immediately skeptical because it took how long for us to eradicate smallpox and like.
I can't quote it, but it was a while. It was quite a while.
Our 10, 15 years understanding of biological science is really really pretty nascent in our history. It was 200 years ago. Like if you had,
I believe it was 10 to 25 years it took us to once we knew what it was and then developed the vaccine. I think it was somewhere between 10 and 25 years. But it was around for hundreds.
Yeah, hundreds. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it was only 150 years ago.
And nascent is a good word to explain.
It's one of my favorite words.
Nascent means nascent. Well, I say nascent. They're both correct. It means emerging, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. But 150 years ago, if your wife was going crazy at home, they'd just give her
opium.
Give her opium, and then she'd develop an addiction and die. And we're kind of we kind of haven't changed from that.
That's kind of
You know what I mean?
We just switch what drugs we're giving them.
Fuck, man. I mean.
Yeah, we just literally switch what drugs we're giving them.
I know. Or they'd be like, well, you've got bad blood, so we're going to bleed you out and you need to masturbate.
So other than hugging people, one of my pieces of advice to
is also get off of social media.
Yeah, that was what I was just going to say is do something.
Right.
Because you're not required to stay in your house anymore. Go jogging.
Right.
Go to Guitar Center or go online to Guitar Center.
Go online to Guitar Center.
Order the $200, maybe it's $300 now, but it's going to be a Yamaha guitar.
Yeah, just like a 300. I forget the base model.
Don't buy the kit.
Don't buy the kit.
Don't buy the box that comes with the tuner. Spend the same amount of money and just get the guitar for now.
And a handful of picks. That's all you need.
Yep.
Maybe a book.
And between YouTube and apps, start playing fucking guitar.
Get a book. I believe in physical copies of books.
Dude, okay, so me and my brother have been having this question, and I said the book has two benefits. Number one, you can just hold it in front of you, put it on a music stand.
It's a physical, tactile
and you can look
object.
at it. You can highlight shit on it.
Right, exactly.
But most of those books, if not all, are still. We're talking about tablature books. Sorry, we're going to digress to some music nerdery real quick here.
No, this is what we did.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's what I've been trying to tell my brother is don't do exclusively just books or just the internet. There's a way to use both.
Yeah.
Because the books are cool in one way, shape, or form, but they're still not perfect and accurate.
Right.
And many times you can find more accurate tabs on the internet by some fucking wizard
who
decoded the Matrix and put the right ones up there. But at the same time,
do you remember guitar.com?
Dude, there was this one recently over the last 5-6 years where I could take a cover song and I could not only have it slow down and tab out, but I could literally not only change the tuning.
Yeah.
I could take the tablature that was there. I could say, now go from standard E to drop D.
Yeah.
And then I could say, now drop the whole thing a whole step so you're in drop C where I play.
Yeah.
And I could learn these songs and play them along to the real track.
Right.
In my own tuning.
Right.
That was originally ultimateguitar.com
or
something like that.
Some version of Guitar Pro can probably do that.
They merged and ditched their website and went to just app only.
Yeah.
And they got rid of that transposition option. And I am so fucking furious, dude. Because I used to be able to use that to cheat and learn keyboard parts.
Right.
I'd take the keyboard, move it to guitar, transpose it to guitar, then change it from standard E to drop D, and then drop it a whole step. And
some
then
would say
it was
cheating.
way wrong.
Yeah.
It was way wrong. But it got me in the right box or the right pocket.
Right.
And then I could just figure out how I wanted to express
I was just doing that last Thursday. I've got a student right now, and I was looking at a tab for what song was it? Pinball Wizard. I'm teaching him Pinball Wizard by The Who. And there's that and there was an extra note on on a downbeat on the very end of it, and I was like, skip that. That's not there. It's a ghost note. We don't want to hear that. I don't want you to play that. I don't want you to try and play a tiny little ghost note right now. You need to know where you need to know where the impact is. You've been playing guitar for 8 months.
Okay.
And he's getting really good too. It's awesome to see. I wish I had more right now, but the COVID kind of killed
more students, you're saying?
Yeah. I've only got just 1 right now. So it's like my only obligation during the week is at 6 o'clock on Thursday nights.
It's rough for everyone.
It's
right
just
now,
it's strange. I get a $14 check every 2 weeks for it.
I was originally supposed to go back to work today.
Oops.
We
were all supposed to be back to normal by now.
I worked. I mean, like literally though. Like I had a temporary layoff with a tentative recall date of August 1st.
Are you officially like
fucking
unemployed?
I emailed them Thursday, Friday. Like I assume it's still slow because you haven't reached out, but I figured I'd check in.
Yeah.
I assume I'm not coming back on Monday. Keep me posted. They haven't even responded.
Yeah, it's like that. Like it's weird because I'm Jasmine's still working.
This might be the best thing that ever happened to me though.
Right. I was gonna say when I was given my have a hug thing, and all you introverts that are fucking shining in your own time, I see you too. Because there's some people out there that are, I'm super fortunate. I've got a good deal. I got a good thing going. I've got a really cool landlord. First of all, she she takes care of us as much as we take care of her, and
that's what she said.
I
couldn't resist. Dude. Dude, you left way too long of a pause in there. Dude, that pause.
She's like my age. She's got like a couple of she got a 13-year-old boy and a 10-year-old boy, and they've got like a Volkswagen bus that they go camping in, and they're just adorable. I love them, I forget where I was going with this. I lost myself again.
I don't know. There was a long pause in there, and I kind of lost track and busted that's what she said joke in there.
Thank you, Michael Scott. Oh, speaking of Michael Scott,
do you have?
Did you watch Space Force? It's the Steve Carell show on Netflix where he's like the commander of the Space Force.
Yes, I did, and I fucking loved it. It's on Netflix, right?
Yes.
It's
because
amazing.
Like it's not to put it on too critical of a hat, but it's not like mind blowing out of this. It's fucking funny, and especially
is so good.
They get a lot of some of the military idiosyncrasies just hilariously perfect. That thing with that scene where he's running and he's like in uniform and he's running through the base and like people are saluting him left and right and he's just like I've seen that in person. We used to line up when we'd walk down to the schoolhouse. We'd line up like 8 to 10 feet apart because like Lieutenant Campbell was coming up the hill as we were all going down. So we'd line up just far enough apart so she'd have to salute every single one of us individually instead of as a group.
This is is called upward hazing. This is called upward hazing. And
yes.
and the stricter of an environment is, the more creative you have to be in order to do this.
No, it was all like everyone was smiling the entire time, and the loophole she found was brilliant. Because until she drops her salute, you're not allowed to drop yours. So she'd just stand there and hold it the whole time.
As she's jogging.
And then we'd all stand there like a bunch of idiots. like, I got you. Like, joke's over. She killed it.
Oh,
she killed it.
Great,
she
dude.
killed it.
That's fucking great. Do you have, are you set up, are you trying to do online lessons for the guitar shit?
Yeah.
So do you have somewhere people can get in touch with you and follow you? Do you have your social media shit set up? Or do you want to wait before we plug that?
I mean, if you want to hit me, if you haven't even heard me play and want a guitar lesson, you can email me, I guess.
Where do they do that?
daltonrook@gmail.com, because I made that Gmail account when I was in Johnny Rook.
So it's DALTONROOK@gmail.com.
Yep.
And that's for guitar lessons. Are you comfortable putting your rate out, or do you just want people to hit you up and you'll talk to them personally?
It's $50 an hour.
$50 an hour. Do you do half hours?
Yeah.
Okay. So
$20 for
$25 for a half hour, $50 an hour.
Am I mathing right? No, 30.
No, you fucked that back.
I've really
$30 for a half hour.
I've had 4 beers. Okay.
Oh my god, 4 whole beers.
I've got heartburn.
Oh my god, 4.
Dude, I'm so old and
$30
gastric.
for a half hour.
It's awful.
$50 for an hour. daltonrook@gmail.com. He's a phenomenal guitar player, you guys. If you're losing your fucking mind and you want to just start off beginner guitar, that's why I go to Dalton, is because I can like literally tell him to teach me new styles, and he'll treat me like a 12-year-old
Even
who's
if
never
you're
played
good,
a guitar.
I'm better, so I can teach you something.
All right, let's wrap it up, brother.
Yeah, bud.
I appreciate you coming on. Let's do this again.
Yeah, this is fun and easy, man.
I mean, we'll do a lot of this.
Oh yeah, I'll be the Brian Callen to your Joe Rogan. I'll be on all the time.
Aw, really?
Aw, isn't that
Aw.
cute? Isn't that cute?
I love Brian Callen.
Minus the
Did you
whole
hear-
sexual contra. I don't
believe it.
I don't know
I don't buy
anything
it.
about it. I
I
only
don't
heard
buy it.
about it. I don't know anything about it. I'm not making a
I
judgment
don't
either
fucking
way
buy
until
it.
I know more.
I don't buy it. I've followed that dude his entire career, and I listen to people that know him, and he's the opposite of a Bill Cosby. Like, there was rumors of Bill Cosby being a fucking creep.
Kill Bosby. Ooh,
Is that what I said?
No. But I think I just came up with our band name, Kill Bosby.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
Like, and don't be an asshole and do the CILL. Just do KILL.
Yeah.
And then Bosby. Oh,
Kill
dude,
Bosby.
that's actually kind of genius. But no, Brian, dude, the Brian thing. Because I don't want to end on that. The Brian thing, like, so with Bill Cosby, everyone around him had been saying for years he's a piece of shit. He was only adored in the public eye.
Right. And
Brian Callen is the exact opposite.
Right.
Everyone that knows him says he is one of the sweetest, most gentle men. Like, he's a gentleman.
Right.
Like, he's the shit. He's high moral character. Like, he's a good-looking dude. He doesn't need to do any of this shit. You know, I'm not saying those bitches are liars.
I know,
but I don't
to nothing
believe
about the guy.
I don't believe any of it. For just him, I'm not commenting on the Me Too shit in general. But I got Brian's back.
All right.
Period. I
know next to nothing about the guy. You know, aside
if
from,
I'm wrong, I'll admit it.
Yeah.
I swear to God,
Yeah.
if there's credible evidence that come out, I will come back on this podcast, admit it. I was fucking wrong. I'll eat my own foot. And you know what? No, fuck that. I'll eat my own ass.
Ooh.
Which is impossible. So good luck holding me to that one, guys.
How bendy are you?
All right, we'll wrap that up.
All right, bud.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, easy.
You said something interesting. What do you mean by that? That's really quite literally.